Well, howdy. This
Telemetry lost.
I'm sure it did. This is the Kilted Texan, and today we are going to be flying this little 7-inch again, although I changed it out for 5-inch, or sorry, for 7-inch two-bladed props, these Gemfan Flash 7042s. They are super light, and well, at least for 7-inch props, about the lightest 7-inch prop you can get. I'm going to be flying it on 5S, and this is probably going to be a fairly calm flight, but I bet you it's going to run a while. And I've got a little trick here, because this thing a lot of times has problems trying to get a satellite lock. So what I normally do is, on the way to wherever I'm flying, I will go ahead and bring along a micro USB cord with me, and I will plug in the flight controller into the car and let it run the minimum 5 volts, and it's enough to actually trigger that GPS so that it will try to get a lock. That way, when I get to wherever I'm flying, it's going to end up being a hot start for the GPS. Now, hopefully, what this is going to do is give us a nice little quick startup here, and we'll go ahead and crank up the video on this. Hopefully, this will give us a nice startup. Now, I had her plugged in, and she had 10 satellites, what I was counting by the beeps, because I had this thing.
Telemetry recovered.
There we go. Because I had this thing set so that when it's defaulted, the sticks are in the default positions, like when I don't have a radio connected, it will beat the satellite count. Now, right now, let's see. Right now, she is showing as 0 satellites. So hopefully, a hot start will kick in here in just a sec, and she will start giving us some readings here. She is still showing 0 satellites, though. She was just beeping out 9 satellites just a second ago. So, this thing is currently unhappy. Here, let's do this. Now she's at 4. She's currently at 4 satellites. So normally this works, but apparently she rebooted or something happened, or I know when the power shuts off and the power kicks back on the car, and then power kicks right back off again, sometimes it'll reset. So this trick normally works. Apparently right now it's not. So I gotta wait for this thing to finally kick all the way in and show me the satellites. There we go, there's 6. Well, that is enough to take off. There's 7. That's better. So we are going to go ahead and run her up. Now, I am going to also come down here and bump up the power. There we go. Now this thing is quite a bit quieter on these 7042s. I am curious to know if she runs a little bit less power as far as as far as power consumption. I think she's about standard, so I have not changed. I know that 5 amp reading is a little low. She's probably running about 7 amps or so, especially on 5S. But these 7042 props are pretty efficient. Okay. She's pretty far out there now. Let's go ahead and, wonder why she lost the channel lock there. As you can hear, that thing's pretty quiet compared to those tri-blades that I had, the dowel prop tri-blades. Now the dowel prop tri-blades are really good and they're pretty efficient. There's not a whole lot of difference between the 7042 Gemfans and these, or the 7042 Gemfans and those dowel props. But there is a little bit of a feel difference. There seems to be more bite. You can turn it a little bit quicker. This thing seems a little bit more slidey. So if you try to make a hard turn, you really got to crank it up on its edge to get her to turn. But other than that, these props are nice and quiet. They are so quiet. I'll be curious to see how the vibrations are with them. I mean, this is a brand new set of props, so there shouldn't be any nicks or scuffs in them. We'll see how long this thing will actually stay in the air. I mean, I can put her pretty close to where I want her, but just with a 7-inch quad, I don't try to get her into really tight spaces too much. You know, I'll get her somewhat close to stuff, but I'm not going to try to shoot a whole bunch of gaps with it. She's running nice and quiet. Pretty efficient. And especially since this is that lightweight, it's a Chinese copy of the Floss, but this is a 7-inch, so I think it's called the Sloss or Schloss or something like that. And this frame's pretty tough. This thing's been through the ringer a few times. This thing's hit the ground and been on fire, and well, she's hit the ground I think like 7 or 8 times and been on fire, poor thing. But she still flies like a dream and never broken an arm in it or anything. The motors on it pretty lightweight. Well, I say lightweight, they're not super light, but they're not big old beastie hefty dudes that you would normally see on a 7-inch. These are the EMAX RS2 2306 1700 kV, so they're pretty decent, nice and efficient. I've flown these. In fact, these things got a lot of miles on them. These particular props have been a mile out and back a couple of times. But I sure like flying this thing too. I mean, this thing is nice and quiet. It's fairly tame. Not a whole lot of weird issues to contend with. And we'll run her up here pretty quick. Now with the dowel props, the other ones, I think the blade pitch on them is like, I want to say they're 53, so I think they're 70-53 tri-blades. These are 70-42, so apparently I'm not getting as much speed out of them. But I mean, they'll acro a bit. you know, not a whole lot of drama. But yeah, you got to really crank on it to get her to turn tight. And since this is a 5S battery, I'll run her down to about, well, 18 is about the minimum I ever want to go on a 5S. Just because I try to be somewhat respectful of my batteries. So she's fairly responsive. There we go. Video's getting a little screwy behind me, but this thing has a capacitor on it, and I could technically run this one on 5S, but the capacitor I got on, it's only a 25 volt, so I would have to change the capacitor out to a 35 volt before I'd run 6S on her. And really, even the 25 volt might be a little bit close as far as well, might be. She is a little close as far as the 20% overrule, but she does a job. She's all right. She's nice and comfy. Not really surprising. Kind of like a nice old pair of underwear, right? You got a nice old pair of underwear you always like to put on when you just want to be comfy and happy. Well, I guess, you know, ladies might actually refer to that as like they're comfy PJs. They're, you know, just comfortable and not really worried about anything, just happy to be in their own element kind of thing. And that's kind of what this thing is. This is all reliable. And this thing's got a flight controller in it. It's a Rcharlance flight controller. It's an all-in-one with a VTX built in to the flight controller itself. And I used that because I actually needed the space. I've got a all-in-one ESC or 4-in-1 ESC on this thing too. So the height stack for the Floss Frame here, you could put 3 boards in. In fact, I got one where I've got 3 boards in one. It's an F7 processor in that one, but I got 3 boards in that one. It's a processor, the ESC, and then a split board camera. But that one, she's pretty tight. She doesn't have a whole lot of room to spare. But we'll go ahead and bring her home here, and we'll see how far she ran today. That GPS rescue kicks out. It does that sometimes. This particular quad will lose that. She will lose that lock every once in a while and end up unhappy. So want to get in that expedition's way here. You can hear that thing right now. Just how nice and quiet, and just a nice hum, not a screech, just a nice little hum. So, top speed 43 mile an hour, max distance 1,400 feet. Minimum battery 17 and a half. That's probably when it bounced right there. 36 amp max there. 984 milliamp hours. It's not too bad. It's probably about right. And then RSSI is 40. And 19,594 feet. How far she flew. That sounds about right. And so that comes out, well, about 3.5, 3.25 miles, something like that. Mile being 5,280 feet. So she went all right, and it was fun. Nice, calm, easy flight.